Hi, I'm Fred.
I'm Caroline.
And I'm Juan.
We're medical students at the University of Michigan Medical School. Today, we'll be providing an overview of Anki, a powerful electronic flashcard program. We will first learn about Anki's spaced repetition algorithm and how to create and review cards. Then, we'll dive into using Anki on multiple platforms, utilizing shared decks, and the art of suspending tags. Finally, we'll learn about keyboard shortcuts, add-ons for the application, and other helpful tactics to maximize Anki's effectiveness. Underlying Anki is a special spaced repetition algorithm that functions to show you only the flashcards that you're most at risk of forgetting. By reviewing only a select amount of cards in a given deck instead of all of the cards, you'll study more efficiently and likely improve your retention. This graph shows a visual representation of the psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus's famous forgetting curve for newly learned information. When information is immediately learned, retention might be as high as 100%, but then drops precipitously until that information is reviewed or rehearsed again. While those reviews could conceivably take place every day or multiple times a day, there is a more efficient strategy that exists. Enter spaced repetition, in which those reviews take place only after a gradually increasing time interval has elapsed. In this graph, the information is reviewed 1 day after initially being learned, then 2 days later, and then 4 days later. As the information is correctly recalled, retention shoots back up to about 100%, and the interval increases as fewer reviews are needed. While the inner workings of the spaced repetition algorithm within Anki are beyond the scope of this video, they function similarly to this graph, with increasing time intervals as information is correctly recalled. The two foundational note types built into Anki, Basic and Close, will likely be sufficient for most uses of the software. Although other modifications can be made, such as changing the visual formatting of notes and adding additional fields, they are outside the scope of this video, although we will be covering the use of tags later on. A new deck can be created by clicking on Create Deck on the main screen of Anki. New notes can then be added to this deck by selecting the deck and then clicking Add on the top row, or pressing A on your keyboard. In the Add Note window, you can select the note type, Basic or Closed, select the deck to which the note and its cards will be added, and perform some minor formatting. For our basic note, we will simply enter a term or question on the front side of the note and the definition or answer on the back side. At the bottom of the screen, tags can also be assigned to this note to help distinguish notes based on subject, lecture, or topics. As we'll soon learn, these tags can then be used to selectively study particular cards within a deck or remove those cards from being reviewed. And to add a card, I will either press Add or Command Enter on Macs or Control Enter on PCs. Close note type cards will remove a section of a sentence or phrase and ask you to fill in the blank. Within the Add Card window, first select the section you wish to delete, and then either click this icon on the menu bar or use the keyboard shortcut Command-Shift-C on Macs or Control-Shift-C on PCs. A hint can also be provided to add specificity to the card by using the double colon notation following the close deletion. You can also embed multiple close deletions within a single note, which will produce different cards based on which close deletions are shown. For instance, if I were to add a second close deletion here, there would be one card for the first close deletion and one card for the second close deletion, each of which come from this single note. Now, let's review the new cards we just added as well as older cards I've already made to preview the process of reviewing. Again, the basic type cards function similarly to a physical flashcard that have a front and back side. When this card is first displayed, by default, we only see the front side. When I've successfully recalled the correct response, or have given up, I will trigger the back side of the card to be shown by clicking Show Answer, or pressing the spacebar or Enter on the keyboard. Depending on whether I correctly recalled the content, I have 3 options to evaluate the difficulty of the card. If I forgot or incorrectly recalled the content, I would select Again and be shown the card within a 1-minute interval, which is what the small number refers to above the Again button. In this case, the card moves from New status to Relearning status. The amount of relearning cards is shown in red, as you'll see shortly. If I recalled the content correctly, I would select either Good and be shown the card within a 10-minute interval, or Easy and only be presented with that card after a 4-day interval. Both Good and Easy lead the card to graduate from New to Review status. These timed intervals are determined by calculations within the spaced repetition algorithm used by Anki and can be adjusted from their default settings if so desired by more advanced users. When a new card that was just evaluated as good is presented again, the same 3 options are displayed. If the card is rated good again, this review card will only be shown after 1 day. And if the card is easy, after 4 days. If the content cannot be recalled or is recalled incorrectly, the card would again enter relearning status and be shown within a 1-minute interval. For this closed deletion card, the process is much the same. When I believe I've correctly recalled the content or have given up, I will either press Show Answer, Spacebar, or Enter. The difficulty of these new cards are evaluated the same to the previous example. When the time interval previously assigned to review cards has elapsed, they become due and are expected to be reviewed. In this demo deck, I have 1 basic card and 1 close card. If these due cards are not reviewed on that given day, and more cards become due in the subsequent days, the overall volume of cards to review quickly builds. Thus, reviewing Anki on a daily basis is critical to its successful use and for long-term retention. In these review cards, there are 4 options available to evaluate the difficulty of the card. Again, if the content couldn't be recalled or was incorrect, or if recalled occurred successfully, Hard, Good, or Easy, with increasing time intervals after which the card will again become due. Cards that are easier to recall, thus, are shown less often, while cards that are more difficult will be presented more frequently. This is spaced repetition in action.
Anki can be used on multiple devices. The Anki desktop app can be downloaded for free from the Anki website. The app is also free on any Android phone. For iOS devices, such as iPhones, the app costs $25. In order to get started with using the Anki apps, you will want to create an account on Anki Web. You can select Sign Up at the top right corner of the web page. Anki Web functions by synchronizing the decks between the desktop app and the mobile app. This makes sure that all decks are up to date when you open Anki on any device. After creating an account on Anki Web, you can click Sync on the top right corner of your desktop app, or Synchronize on the bottom right corner of the mobile app. This will upload current decks to Anki Web. After synchronizing for the first time, closing the desktop app will automatically upload changes to Anki Web and download any changes that were made on another device. On the mobile app, you have to press the Synchronize button for this to occur.
A great resource for all Anki users in med school is the Medical School Anki Reddit. First thing you should do on this Reddit is scroll down to a really helpful flowchart here that'll help get you acquainted with some of the different learning resources available and the decks that were made from those resources. There are decks here that can be used for many purposes, from comprehensive studying to cramming, although it's important to note that all of the decks shown here are Step 1 specific. I'm going to discuss the 2 most commonly used decks by Michigan students, which are also the 2 most comprehensive decks as far as STEP material goes. They are the Lightyear deck, which was made primarily from the Boards and Beyond videos, and the Zonky deck, which is based on material covered on Pathoma and Sketchy. One way you could decide which deck is best for you is to decide which video resource fits your learning style better, whether that's Boards and Beyond or Pathoma and Sketchy. So let's say I decided to use the Lightyear deck. The next step is to download the deck, and you can find pretty much any well-known shared deck in the sidebar of this Reddit. The Zonky deck is here, and the Lightyear deck is here. These links lead you to posts that outline how each deck is organized, and you can scroll through until you find the download link here. We can download the Anki specific file, and opening it will automatically import the cards into Anki.
After initially downloading a shared deck, you might find it advantageous to suspend cards that have certain tags to avoid seeing new cards with subject material that you have yet to initially learn about. By first selecting a deck and clicking Browse, I will trigger the Browse screen. On the left side of the screen, I will see all of the tags included in each deck within my collection. For instance, you might choose to suspend cards tagged with genetics until genetics is covered in lecture. This approach ensures that you only review material that you have previously been exposed to, instead of learning subject matter through Anki, which is not conventionally advised. After selecting a tag, I will select all the cards that contain that tag by first selecting the first card and then pressing Shift-click to select all of the cards with that given tag. I will then right-click and select Toggle Suspend, or press Command-J on Macs or Control-J on PCs. In toggling Suspend, the cards become highlighted in yellow, and there are parentheses around their due order. This ensures that these cards will not be shown as part of your new cards, and will only enter that batch once they are unsuspended.
Okay, so how might you go about a normal Ankiing session efficiently? Shortcuts can cut out a lot of the moving your pointer around. Fred has already shown you a basic card. Here's the question, and there's the button saying Show Answer. The shortcut for Show Answer is the spacebar. So let's press it and get to the next screen with the answer, as well as the buttons that say Again, Hard, Good, and Easy, which actually correspond to 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the keyboard. An efficient way to get through cards quickly is to keep your 4 fingers on 1, 2, 3, and 4, and your thumb on the spacebar. You never have to move from this position to get through a deck. Alternatively, because spacebar on the screen also maps to good, you could just press the spacebar over and over again to get through cards. If you wanted to edit the card or find out details about it, press E to enter the edit screen for that specific card. I sometimes do this to check which tag a specific card falls under. Couple more general Anki shortcuts. B to go to the Browse screen, useful for when you want to modify which cards are suspended or not. D sends you back to the Decks menu from when you're in the middle of going through cards. A, if you want to access the Add Card screen. Anki has an engaged modding community that's always looking to better the software, and we're going to talk about a few of the best add-ons that we think improve the experience. But first, here's how to get to the list of add-ons available for download. From the app, click on Tools, and then Add-ons. Any add-ons that we install will show up here. Right now, let's press Get Add-ons here. This window asks for a code on this field. We'll get to that in a sec. For now, let's press Browse Add-ons. We have arrived at the list of all the different add-ons. The first we'll talk about is Hierarchical Tags, which is almost required for the ease of access it provides in going through decks that have not only tags, but subtags and subtags of those. Here it is, and we can read about the add-on in this page and scroll down until we find the download code here, with which we can go back into the Anki program to insert into the code window here. Without this add-on, you won't be able to navigate the browse menu in a way that allows you to be really specific with the cards that you suspend. Next is More Deck Stats and Time Left, which provides a nice overview window in the main page outlining how many cards are due that day, how many of those are new cards you've never seen before, and how many are review cards. It also estimates how much time it would take you to finish that day's cards based on how fast you've gone in the past. Next is the pop-up dictionary, which is a useful tool because you can point out a specific term that you want to know more about, and it does a quick scan of the rest of the cards in the deck to look for other instances where that term has come up. Lastly, image occlusion is a huge help in the creation of certain types of cards. Let's say you have an anatomy figure in front of you, and you want to obscure the names of the structures so that you can use Anki to practice recalling them one at a time. This add-on is required to make that type of card. Here's a list of some other add-ons that we think might be worth looking into that you can check out for yourself.
Occasionally, when studying, you may feel like you need to review more cards at once or only test yourself on a specific topic. This may be the case before an assessment in order to review only the relevant cards and in large volume. In order to change the amount of new cards and maximum reviews per day, you can enter the desktop app and click on the Settings button, which is to the right of each deck. Then, click Options and input your preferred card number in New Cards per Day. The more cards you review per day, the lower your overall retention might be. If you click the Reviews tab, you can also enter your preferred number in Maximum Reviews per Day. In order to study a particular topic based on different tags assigned to cards, click on the name of the particular deck you are studying from and click Custom Study on the bottom. Then you can select Study by Card State or Tag. Select your preference for the types of cards you'd like to review, select Choose Cards, and then select the tags you would like to study. This will create a temporary new deck on the app. This deck will disappear once all cards have been reviewed, and cards will automatically be reincorporated into their original deck. If you would like to use Custom Study on the mobile app, select the deck, click on the Settings button in the lower right corner, select Custom Study, and again choose the particular tags you would like to study. Increasing the number of new cards per day and maximum reviews per day, as well as custom studying, will increase the amount you are able to study per day, but does not support the long-term retention benefits of spaced repetition.
We've only skimmed the surface in this video tutorial. See the video notes for further resources, and send any additional questions to the Medical School Anki subreddit. And above all things, go Blue!